Hey everyone, wonderful morning, the first day in the first week. The February, while actually looking back for the recent years, particularly for the 2025, that was the bigger proof we have created through the way of analyzing the falling markets. The behavioral change because of that, the markets will fall like we predicted during 2024 December itself. So as predicted, the February 2025 was closed below the important support zones like a 24,700, 23,350 and 22,800. So 21,800 below it went and closed. Almost over 6% of close was happened during February 2025. Why we are actually discussing this point means currently in this February 2026, our markets are standing at the cliff. Yeah, we are really at the cliff. Don't just justify about the markets reversal, if any, coming. That would be continuing like because it requires a greater strength to recoup all the losses, including the gaps created on the charts. Until otherwise, every rise on the Nifty, Sensex, Bank Nifty, Midcap Nifty, Financial Services Index, IT, particularly on the IT side, which is the culprit now, making the markets to fear anxiety. Because of that, the correction on the second leg may be getting initiated as soon as possible once the Nifty closes, as long as it is below 25,740 itself, a negativity only. But by the way of closing below 25,449 as our interim behavior shift zone, that would be giving confirmation about the fresh leg of rally on the downside that may be again retesting 24,700 as a number one behavior change or behavior shift zone. That was only we have found during 2024 December that acted well on the either side till now, and it should not get broken and closed below to that 24,700 level for consecutive 2 days. If it happens, as per our concept, the trend will be formed based on the confirmation on which side the market or Nifty Sensex is giving, where the trend may be extending towards the next level where we have already discussed. Why we are actually giving this information in the initial stage itself before discussing the pre-market outlook means this particular week probably will give all the needed confirmation, all the needed volatility, and all the results based on that this week's movement we can get in future. So the trend of today's one based on the Friday's high and low as we discussed already will be giving the way for Nifty to follow on the direction where it is really getting breakout or breakdown of the high and low respectively. In case provided the high of Friday's one getting broken and sustained above to that point in larger time frame starting 1 hour means you can get the signal for the continued up movement till the next resistance point. That can be now seen through the way of observing the Nifty chart, which we are going to share now, and you will be getting some clarity rather than just discussing. So we can do now analyzing the chart through the way of sharing that. See, what are you seeing on the display is a Nifty chart. We just want to give the explanation over the behavior it has already witnessed. See, this is what the 13th of February, the Friday's high and low, 25,630 and 25,444. This low was exactly below 25,449 as the interim behavior shift zone until it is holding this particular day's low. The bouncing attempts probably will be there. So until it is closing below to this 25,449, in starting with any larger time frame like 1 hour, the bounces will be there, but that bounces and all should not be treated as a buying opportunity, since the market or Nifty has this much of gap between Thursday and Friday, and this gap until getting filled, any bounces can be utilized for reducing the long positions or initiating the short positions, not for a fresh buying. It is very strict to the short-term traders and investors. Don't think this until it is getting filled about this particular gap. You should not have any strategy about building the long positions positionally. What you can do means, by utilizing this particular gap, the high of Friday's one, 25,632, the high of Thursday's one, 25,906. Between these gap and levels, one can utilize the chance of reducing your long positions. Then you may have a question when the trend may turn bullish like. Yeah, of course. For that, it requires, the Nifty requires the strong or a decisive close above 25,740 as our behavior shift zone. This was acting for the recent over 6 months, we can see. Starting 2025th year, this 25,740 is acting as a range shift almost for the half an year. So that would be required to close consecutively as per our concept 2 days in a row above the 25,740 to get confirmation of the resumption of the bullish trend. Until then, every rise, even from the positional perspective, can also be treated as selling opportunity, or otherwise the chances for trimming your holdings, particularly on top 100 stocks. So that would be the good strategy who are holding the positions in the first 100 stock of NSE. So this is the major thing we want to share with you all. This would be having an impact based on the positional moves, not for the intraday. Then what can be we can expect on the intraday side? We can see the range bound volatility will be dominating in today's trend between the levels of, as mentioned in the report, 24,449 to 25,700, between this range. So between these 250 points of range, one can see the volatility will be dominated without a clarity and without a direction. That's what today's trend it is going to be. When one can actually take the clear trade on either side, means it is better to concentrate on short building side or selling side, utilizing any high, as mentioned. For the levels, if you want to say, until the Friday's one getting closed above the high, means then you can think of reducing the immediate term basis. That means that within a 3 or 5 days kind of trading, if you are looking, there you can reduce your position on the short side and look out the positive side or long side. by the way of getting confirmation above the close of Friday's one, and until it is having 25,900 level reached, you can keep your long positions for the term we have mentioned. Don't forget, it is suitable for like a 3 or 5 days of most probably for this week's one. But anyway, the safe traders may be avoided in this particular non-directional and high volatility range-based trades. After making the confirmation, even it is better to trade with limited quantities or lots, or otherwise better to ignore if you are a safe trader. So that's it in positional perspective, and for the intraday base, we have discussed based on showing this chart. So the chart actually what indicates already means until it is getting covering or filling this particular gap, any high it is giving or attempt it is moving higher will be a chance for reducing your long position and creating your short positions. We can move to the pre-market discussion now by sharing the pre-market post. See, the last week's mayhem happened because of the IT sell-off. IT stocks which had attracted the selling and continued like a hammering, it was on the IT stocks, the market shock. Because of that, the IT stocks now entered into the interim bearish zone. We can expect another 7 to 10% of correction on the IT stocks is now due for the index, and that may be attracting selling because the recovery it has shown on the Friday is not a strongest one. So that can be also expected to attract the selling, and until the Nifty, as mentioned, getting filled about the gap, IT sector will be dominating the selling trend. So the 7 to 10% of further fall as predicted now, one can keep utilizing any jumps or recovery like price actions happening in the IT stocks means better to reduce your positions, particularly on long side. For the day, the opening trend would be expected in the way of a cautious but positive one. Despite there are mixed cues around the global peers, but after opening, one should be keenly and closely monitor the behavior of Nifty, because the Friday's one as expected, the low and high should be monitored where you are getting the confirmation based on the close above or below. There you can take the trades in the same direction. For that, you can keep the numbers that was Friday's high and low. But even you can additionally get the confirmation if the Nifty breaks the 25,449 as our interim behavior shift zone and trading below to that point with any 1 hour confirmation, if you are getting means, there you can additionally get the confirmation about the strength where the Nifty is forming. Yes, of course it is. If it happens like that, it is of course for the seller side. And that may be opening the doors for reaching 25,300 for the day as the major support zone where the Nifty can be expected, whether it is taking support or trying to break below to that point also. We need to wait and watch. For that, this day would be utilized by the Nifty's behavior. On the upside, 25,700 would be strongly or a stiff resistance or hurdle one can feel, one can see while the Nifty is attempting to move higher. So that only we have mentioned clearly, utilize the bounces. That may not be a stronger one. So you utilize that bounces to reduce your long positions, even though it is positional. From the positional perspective, despite of recent weeks close about 25,740, because of the lack of follow-through actions on the buying side, it could not sustain, and that is not only the reason. The reason mainly was with the IT stocks shattered. That shattering actions on the IT stocks prices made the Nifty to drag down again below the 25,740 level. And hereafter, it is required to be in a decisive manner to confirm by the way of closing above to that point. So until then, positionally, the Nifty is in negative or pessimistic surroundings will be happened, or anyhow, the current trend maybe get extended, that weak trend or a bearish and whatever you can term it. For the day, the sectors like automobile, starting with that, the mixed kind of actions can be expected. On IT side, even though it is showing any recovery kind of things, it is better to reduce your long positions by utilizing any bounce if it is giving. But for all IT majors, IT stocks, starting with the TCS Infosys, the Friday's low, as long as getting held, the bounces will be expected to continue. But anyhow, if it breaks the Friday's low, probability will be very high for the expected or predicted level of 7 to 10% on the index side. The next one on sectors front, oil and gas. Yes, since the oil and gas, particularly from the gas oriented and ONGC, GAIL kind of stocks, even Reliance also can be expected to somewhat dominate the oil and gas sector today. Finance, bank. Current trend is somewhat supporting the finance and banking stocks in the way of attracting the buying. But anyhow, it should also hold the Friday support or low. Until then, the attempt may be trying for bouncing. Otherwise, if it cuts the low, particularly for these sectors, you can focus that will be weighing on the market's downside we have predicted. Finally, it is metal. Of course, if it is the bouncing activities, metal will be leading more than any other sector, because it is, as per our behavioral analysis, metal sector is always we called as a genius. From the stocks front, Inox Green Energy, the fantastic result it has provided, so that can be in focus on the long side. National Fertilizers based on the earnings, Hindustan Copper based on the demand notice given by the Jharkhand government about the payment, it has to be compensated, which has not yet happened like it has alleged. So the company side also replied like they will be looking at the allegation proposed by the government side was not a true one, like the company side, Hindustan Copper side replied. Let's see. Anyhow, the negativity will be there on the Hindustan Copper's share prices. Torrent Pharma, in line with the expectation, the results announced, so it may be expected to attract buying and do the possible long side oriented movements. Aurobindo Pharma, based on the news from US FDA, it also will be in the positive side. NLC India, the bigger contract between NLC and the company called, I think, ONGC today. So, because of this, the positivity on the NLC side can be seen. Signature Global is another stock based on the earnings. NBCC India based on the earnings. GMR Airport also based on earnings. Precision Wires also in the same category. These stocks can be focused by the day traders today. Anyhow, it is better to keep stop loss, whether it is giving confirmation or not. Keeping stop loss will be the favorable one for maintaining the good risk and reward for all kind of traders and investors. You can see a query fallen on commodity side, silver and gold. Yeah, the silver and gold currently having a volatile trend only, not a clear positive side. Anyhow, the favoritisms are now inclined positively. So you can, by maintaining the, for this also, for silver and gold also, we are suggesting to maintain Friday's low and high. As long as it is trading above the high point, you can keep focusing on building long or keeping the existing long positions by keeping support as a Friday's low. So that's it. We can see in the next pre-market session. So until then, we wish everyone to have a successful day. Thank you.